The stars have aligned. It is time for us to raise our hands and to chant the name Kickstarter, Pickstarter, to hear what good Kickstarters there are out there for the week of June 24th, 2019. If you watch all our videos, you should have known that this was already going to be a pick. Middara from Succubus Publishing is releasing their second Kickstarter. This will allow you to get Act 1, which is their original first Kickstarter, but also finish the trilogy with Acts 2 and 3 all together. We already did a video reviewing Act 1, so you can watch and see what that game is like. More or less, it's like Gloomhaven, a big, heavy story campaign game, this time with a bit more of a JRPG theme. As I said, this is actually in 3 different parts, with Act 1 being the first one, which is the one we got to play, but with 2 and 3 to finish off the story. The game itself has you go through many different choices, as well as fight monsters, going through but less of a grind, more just keep going through, more progressing through the story, making those choices to see who lives and dies. And this will have, as well as some other little small goodies to go on there, some mini adventures, as well as a upgraded kit if you did get one. There are some errata facts and rule books to go in there and fix. Mm-hmm. We have enjoyed our time playing it, so once again, we've liked it, but it is a lot. This is like Batman, you know. Get what you want and need. If you're unsure, they have a starting for, I believe, 115 for just Act 1, and I do think that will, though, include some stretch goal stuff. And there is an extra pledge level for all the first Kickstarter stretch goals. And of course, if you're just looking because you already got Act 1, there's a pledge level just for that kind of stuff. You know, get what you need.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a whole lot. Now, do you know offhand, the first campaign the Act 1, I think they said it's like 90 hours or something. Like, how are Acts 2 and 3 each the same length?
The box size they are.
So they're tripling the size of this game, yes, theoretically. That's insane. It's a lot of game in those boxes.
You're definitely getting your money's worth in terms of a campaign.
Yes, as long as you actually commit to playing through it. Yeah. You won't get your money's worth if you buy it and it just sits in your shelf.
Yes, but that's really your problem, not the problem's, I guess.
That never said whose problem it is. Just want to make that clear for everybody.
It is a lot of fun if you really enjoy that sort of co-op game, but once again, as we said in our video, it is a JRPG and anime vibe, so I know, at least from what I see whenever I see people talk online, that's going to be something a bit more contentious in general, not even just towards Middara, just whether you like that or not.
Definitely watch our review for the full scope of it, to see if you like it.
So you can check that out, and if you're lucky enough, there may be a how to play for it later this week.
There's another new expansion for Role Player from Thunderworks Games. This is one that we're fans of. It's a game that has a role-playing theme to it, but you are actually choosing dice and building a character that you might use to start off an RPG, rather than actually doing any real role-playing. And the last expansion added monsters to that, so in addition to building your character and slotting different colors and numbers of dice that you needed to get the stats you wanted, you were also fighting monsters. This one, it's called Fiends and Familiars, and it adds those two things to the games. Familiars are now little animal friends that you kind of add to your character board, and you're going to have places to put dice on those as well. They're also going to have special abilities, so they're really going to help you out. Fiends are things that go onto the initiative card. So normally the way it works is each player chooses a die, and depending on which die they choose, that determines their turn order, their placement in the turn order. Well, now those cards are also going to have fiends on them, at least some of them will. And if you choose one of those, it may force you into something on your turn. It may say if you take this, you have to take a certain action, or it may give you some kind of even bigger long-term penalty. So you really have to be careful with that. In addition to those, there's also new dice, which are multicolor, and so no matter what it is, it'll count as both colors if you want to take it, which is pretty cool, along with a bunch of other new cards, items, more monsters to fight, new classes, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot.
I get a really weird feeling we're going to play with this expansion, and I'm going to have a ranger character, and I'll be the only one without a creature.
No, I believe you just take one at the beginning. I don't think it's even you have to get it.
All that stuff just sounds amazing. I don't think we've done an actual review for this, have we?
No, we haven't reviewed one.
We have really enjoyed the time.
We've talked about every Kickstarter they've done, though.
Yeah, and we've Yeah, we played both the monster expansion.
And Minions.
And it's just so fun if you play any of these dice placement games. Sigarda is the other one that comes to mind. This one is just so you want to play as that character afterwards. Like you're almost like, yeah, now let's just actually go into D&D. So
yeah, I remember I took a picture of one of them and I said, I'm going to use this someday in an RPG.
Nope.
No, it's a lot of fun. Yes, I will. Stop being a naysayer. And there's a lot of cool stuff that they're adding. They also have the add-on in this one of a big box, so that if you own both expansions, it's only 2, but they won't all fit into that core box. So you can go a little bit higher for the big box to get everything, or it's $44 for just the new Fiends and Familiars expansion.
From Breaking Games, we have Dwellings of Elder Vale. In this game, you will be taking control of a tribe that is sort of paired with an element, the elements being the 4 basic ones, as well as light, dark, and chaos and order. Each group has their own unique set of workers, a warrior, a magic like wizard kind of unit, and a dragon, because dragons are cool. You will be placing your workers this is a worker placement, on the board, which is a random set of tiles that'll be placed on there, or back onto quest cards you'll have to get special different effects or recruit more either workers or those other units I mentioned. Each group also is unique, that makes sense, like the fire makes more with fire and works with the fire terrains, so on and so forth. And there will also be giant monsters on the board though that you could choose to attack and deal with, but be careful, they are big and scary. There is a standard version, which most of the pieces I think they still have the woodworkers, but the monsters I think are wooden tokens and they slot into little standees. But there's also a deluxe that will actually have miniatures that are pretty big. But there's also a bunch of expansions which actually include bases that have sound for those big monsters. So
they have sound?
Yeah, as in like I guess when you move them, you hear like them roar and stuff. Like,
do they require batteries?
I assume, because they said I don't think it's like a really wind them up like thing there.
Huh?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But this looks like a really cool worker placement idea. As I said, like if you like these minis of cool monsters and that sound thing, I've never heard anything like that. These little sound bases.
That's pretty wild. I'm into it. I glanced at this one too. I thought it seemed like a pretty cool theme, and who doesn't love more worker placement games? Mm-hmm. There's always room for them, I say, with some extra bells and whistles that they add.
Now, as cool as the sound thing sounds, remember, that is actually in an add-on thing. The base thing is $69, so see if it's up to you if you want to add on the extra stuff, but those sound bases do sound really cool and unique. And you can see if you want to enter Elder Vale.
Next up, we're taking a trip to the Isle of Cats. In this game, there is a mystical, magical island filled with cats, but they're not just normal cats, they're fantastical, weird breeds of cats with horns and other kinds of strange coloring and patterns. They're magic cats, and you need to save them all from this island before this evil group comes and destroys it all. So each player has their own boat, and that's their own player board, and they're going to be spending fish resources, and they are going to be using those to lure cats into baskets, which they will then load onto their boats. And each cat is a shape. I believe they're a polymino, and you are putting those onto your ship, and once you put the first one down, the next one has to be adjacent to it, and so on. And you're trying to slot them in to the patterns that are on your board, and you want to put cats of the same type next to each other to reward you with more points. And of course, there are cards that you can get. You may have secret goals that will also reward you for different things, having different cats in different positions. And each player's board is unique. So depending on which boat you have, the pattern that you're using is going to be different. I just thought this was a neat little game. We always enjoy, I think, these games where you're putting shapes into patterns. There's something satisfying to lizard brains for some reason by doing that.
No, I saw this, and if I assumed you're just going to pick it because it involves cats. So cats. That's the why I didn't pick it. And at first I remember thinking like, that's weird, just I guess fitting things on a board. But after thinking about how cats pretty much can fit into any shape, yeah, this actually makes sense.
And each piece is the cat's like in a weird flexible position. There's also like a drafting component at the start of the game to determine how you get your cards. A lot of neat stuff going on here. The Isle of Cats, it goes for $64. And I'll also point out it's for 1 to 4 players, but there's an expansion that brings it up to 5 or 6. So if that's something you're looking for, check it out.
Darwinauts from Green Couch Games will have you explore a new area in order to gather resources, discover more about the wildlife before the portal closes. The way this game works is you will start on sort of a much smaller board and be placing your workers in different areas to gain resources. Usually they're very small, but as the board will expand, those areas will get bigger, so when you place there, they'll actually get more resources. These resources then will be in turn to help you score points to learn about the different wildlife there and these beautiful pieces of our very I guess Avatar-esque alien creatures, but you'll have a timer, and when the portal closes, that's when the game ends, and you will count up points. This is one of those games that's like very naturey and almost you back it just because like the artwork is amazing and the creatures and stuff. And it does sound cool that the way that this, because the board grows, which adds the color spaces together, like a blue space may be small before, but because you add more blue spaces next to it, it becomes bigger, makes it more worthwhile. That sounds like a cool way to sort of ramp the resource gathering. So I just thought that by itself looked really cool.
Yeah, that's a neat mechanic. When you said Avatar, did you mean blue cat people or airbender?
Yes, I meant blue cat people.
Okay.
Well, I guess both have really interesting creatures, but I meant more towards the blue cat people in terms of their uniqueness.
Yeah, I like the art a lot in this too. I also looked at this one. Yeah, there's some
No platypus bears, I think.
Not yet. Expansion maybe. Stretch goal.
This game is going for $39, and once again, that's Darwinauts.
Lastly, here is a small one called The Damsels' Tale from Red Genie Games. Now, technically, this was already a pick in a way previously. This company originally had a project for 3 different games that were all in one collection, and that each game took place in the same sort of universe, and they all came with a little storybook that went along with it, and they're all in these little book packages. But they canceled it. They didn't think they were going to get enough funding to do the games justice. So they are coming back now. They just took one of those games, and they are doing that one and seeing how that goes on a smaller scale. And this was, I think, my favorite of the original 3. It is a 2-player game, asymmetrical. One player is a baby dragon. The other person is a knight. The knight is trying to steal a treasure before the baby dragon can wake up its mom. And you're playing cards for movement, and depending on where the knight moves or how the dragon moves, it's trying to alert the mom, and the knight is trying to be stealthy and hide. But just a cute, simple little game. Probably a good game for families. And like I said, comes with a little story that accompanies it. So there's some nice little lore, and it comes in a little book package. And I would like to see that this game succeeds this time, and maybe they'll go back to that idea with the other titles in the future.
I think I remember you talking about this Kickstarter, and I'm sure this was my favorite too because it has dragon.
Yeah, it sounded really neat. So check it out. It's part of their Tinderbox Tales series. I think that's what it's called. It's $22 for The Damsels' Tale.
Those are our picks for this week. Some big expansions for games that we really do enjoy, as well as some cool other unique picks. I've already backed, I know, Middara. Did you back Role Player yet?
Not yet, but I'm sure I will, along with the stupid big box to put on my shelf, because I'm a consumer.
Now, if only Middara had a huge box that fit all 3 chapters.
You'd have to rent out a house. They should offer an apartment.
Let us know if you're backing any of these because maybe you were a previous backer, as the first 2 were expansions, or you're going to be new to them. In addition, don't forget our contest should be ending about tomorrow, maybe next day, about a day left for King of Tokyo stuff. Really, we do enjoy the game a lot, and I do think it's a great one to have on your shelf, especially if you have anyone who might be new to board games. So don't forget to sign up.
It's your last chance, everybody. Thanks for watching. My name is Jonathan.
And I'm Will.
And this is Roll for Crit. It's Kickstarter, Pickstarter.